only knew the boys that tried to give your son or your daughter some weed laced with heroin or red poison, if you only knew the traps that the enemy had set for you to expose you and destroy you. There are people sitting here tonight that if you knew that the person you slept with had AIDS, but you didn't get it, because God says your assignment is greater than this. And I know we sit in church, and for some reason we pretend and want the people to our left, our right, in front of us or behind us to think that I've got it all together. I have arrived. And maybe this message ain't for you, but I'm talking to somebody. Because the honest God truth, the Lord is not looking for golden vessels. He's looking for available vessels. Whenever God got ready to do a miracle, whenever God got ready to manifest himself, he had to find somebody that was available. When he got ready to deliver Israel out of Egypt, he found a man, Moses, who had a speech problem, but he was a murderer. And I want to ask you tonight, you can identify with what God's doing for you, but have you forgotten what he's delivered you from? So it's easy to sit in the house of God because now you got a good wife and a good husband, and forget that you owe it to the person to your left or your right. You owe it to them to minister to them in a way to say, let me tell you the honest truth. I got men in here that used to be drug dealers. I got women in here that you can't tell nobody your business, because I understand everybody can't handle our real testimonies. But you had to sleep with men to pay your bills. You had to sleep with men to put food on the table. I know we want to look great. I know people say shame on her, shame. But what about you, sister? Maybe you didn't have to sleep with a man. Maybe you didn't have to sleep with a woman. Maybe you had to do that, but you lied your way up. You schemed your way up. You put your mouth on everybody and made everybody else feel bad, that all the spotlight can be on you. Sin is sin, and it all stinks in God's nostril. It's funny how God said to me, and those of you that heard this word, I think it was last year or 2 years ago, when I said to this church, we don't need no grants in this season. I said to Sister Stephanie, who the Lord's favored us, who write grants, we could have had it. We don't want no grants in this season. The Lord says the problem with the church is they have been going after the government, but stop going after me. But I want to ask you a question. Now the recession done hit. Can't get no grants now. You got to call on God. If my people, which are called by my name, would humble themselves and pray, turn from their wicked ways. I know you ain't got no issues, brother. I know you ain't got no issues, sister. But what about your daughter? What about your son that saw you mistreat their mama, saw you disrespect their daddy, and you have allowed a generational demon to fester like a fungus? It's been growing, and what you don't challenge, you can't ever change. So tonight I want to confront you right where you are. You don't want to deal with that boy, daddy, because you're afraid to offend him. You don't want to deal with that girl, mama, because you're afraid to offend them. But God's going to hold you hostage. The Bible declares that our children are like trees. We got to turn them in the direction that we want them to grow. You're in this house tonight, and so you are afraid to even offend your flesh. I'm telling you, I'm a witness. You got to look in the mirror. You got to be bold enough to say, God, I can't do this on my own. 2 Corinthians chapter 4 verse 2. Therefore, seeing, and one, we have this ministry, we have received mercy, that we faint not. It's a man and woman of God. We renounce the hidden things of dishonesty, not walking in craftiness or deceit, but by the manifestation of truth, commending ourselves to God. Some things you got to open up your mouth and say, God, I need your help. I got a busybody mouth because my mama was like this. I'm messy because my daddy was messy. I'm jealous because I was born out of a jealous womb. Oh, I know you don't want to act like I'm talking to you, But all of us got stuff running in our blood